Hello everyone, welcome to Read the World. I'm Emma, and today I'm going to talk about 3 romance novels I read for Black History Month. I love these Heritage Months as an opportunity to promote a diverse range of authors and of subject matters. Last year, I tried to do little Heritage Month videos all around biographies, and then I didn't make it through the last few months of the year because I got really overwhelmed. But this year, I'm hoping to pick a different genre that will maybe help me feel less overwhelmed. And so I'm doing romance novels. Last year, it did seem like very direct to read biographies of Black historical figures for Black History Month. This year, I did read one Black historical romance. So that is where we have like the historical element. But history is all building up to the present. So does that have anything to do with anything? I don't know about you, it really does seem like the mass majority of contemporary romance authors are white. So, what a wonderful opportunity to kind of remind everyone that there are a lot more voices out there. And I don't know about you, tell me in the comments. One of the reasons I love reading is to learn about experiences that I know nothing about. This is not a revolutionary concept. I think this is one of those main reasons why a lot of people read. Let me know, have you made any particular reading choices for Black History Month specifically? Is there anything that you went out of your way to read to make sure to highlight authors that maybe go overlooked? The first book I would like to talk about, first of the 3, is Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. This book has a really adorable romantic premise. The very first chapter, I was completely hooked. The main character wakes up after a very drunk night in Vegas and realizes that she has married a woman that she had only just met the day before, and then that woman had to catch a flight home and has only left a note asking to come find her. The main character, Grace, is at a very similar period in her life as I am. She has just finished her PhD and is trying to figure out where she's going to go in her life now that her education is complete, is navigating a lot of her own personal feelings as well as the opinions of her friends and family. And so this opportunity for this really exciting romance comes at a really pivotal time. I did think that even though the premise is really goofy, the way that it's executed at the very beginning is really, really sweet and really cute. I thought that the author did a really good job of conveying, is whimsy a good word for Vegas? Vegas has a certain mystique and excitement and magic about it that I thought was captured really well without it seeming disastrous. Because when I was listening to this book, I kept thinking about there's a country song about I married a guy in Vegas and I don't even know who he was, right? Or was it Vegas or was it just drunk? I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about this country song and how that makes it seem kind of tacky and disastrous. This book instead makes it seem like an exciting adventure, and I appreciated that. I do think that when it comes to the feeling of this book, the romance was very sweet and devoted, but there was a lot of drama. So I think that there are a lot of people who would like this kind of story, especially if you like those really sweet, cute dynamics. Where it kind of lost me was that the sweet cuteness really started to seem more juvenile to me. It started to feel like it should have been a young adult story. I wasn't really buying a lot of the decisions that the characters were making and the way that they were reacting to things. I wasn't buying Grace's relationship with her parents. I thought that both the way that her parents treat her and the way that she regards her parents really seemed more like a dynamic between an adult and a very young child. And they never really reconciled that. It kind of just treated it that way the whole time. And I was a little confused about that. Grace's personal life, what she's trying to figure out what to do with herself and with her degree, does kind of take over the story and seems to be more of the center of the story rather than the romance, even though the book is called Honey Girl, which is what her new Vegas wife nicknames her. So I was like, well, that's fine. You could that if that's what the story's about, it can be about that. I also thought the romance was very cute, very sweet, but it seemed a little shallow. If I'm going to be convinced that Grace should stay with this woman who she married while very drunk and very stressed at a very key moment in her life, then I want to be very obvious of oh my gosh, wow, she really met this amazing person that she should absolutely stay with. I need it to be clear. I don't want to be skeptical because I'm already skeptical about the situation of it seems pretty unlikely that they could actually be good judges of each other's character under those circumstances and actually stay together long term. And it didn't convince me the way that I wanted it to. It really seemed like Grace and Yuki, her new wife, focus a lot on each other's looks. Like they just talk about how beautiful they are. And to the point where, Honey Girl comes from Yuki calling Grace that because of her like beautiful golden hair. So like even the title is just all about the way that the love interest is focused on her appearance. I really love a romance that focuses on emotional and intellectual connection, like really establishes that at some point in the story. And I just didn't feel like I got that. There was also like a really large cast of characters that felt a little like stereotyped, and like I didn't really get to know them very much as like real genuine individuals rather than just kind of like supporting crew. And that just wasn't very satisfying to me. I think it wasn't my personal taste. I ended up giving Honey Girl 2 stars, but I do still think that there are people who would like this, especially if they want a lighter, more wholesome romance. At one point they have like a weird fight that's kind of strange. There's a couple weird little fights, but I would say overall their romance is quite wholesome and quite sweet. There is a found family aspect, so I think that there are definitely some elements there that people can like. Something that I've been talking about with a lot of people recently is that romance books in particular seem so subjective to the reader. In order to enjoy a romance book, not only does the writing have to be good, but you also have to personally enjoy the relationship dynamics being portrayed so that like you can like feel yourself being projected into that romance and feel like it would be satisfying to you. And so the writing is important, but then so are the tropes that are engaged, because different people like different tropes. And like so much has been said about romance tropes and like how those are marketed and how those are selected and which ones are popular and all of these things. But I really think it is like very obvious that a book can, like a romance novel can be very, very well written, but then like two people can have completely different thoughts about it. One person can think, oh, I love these kinds of tropes in this kind of relationship. And the other person can be like, I don't like these kinds of tropes. I don't like these kind of characters, even though it's well written. I just wasn't feeling it. So when it comes to Honey Girl, even though I personally didn't like it, both the romance and the plot, overall, I can definitely see that if there are people who really do like those kinds of dynamics in a romance, that they could really enjoy it. So don't give my 2-star rating too much sway into whether or not you will like it. Like just kind of go off of what it sounds like and like whether or not that's the sort of thing that you enjoy. The next book I'm going to talk about is Forbidden by Beverly Jenkins. Beverly Jenkins is a romance author who has received some really impressive awards and has been writing romance novels for a long time. Forbidden is a historical Old West romance. I like historical romance. I tend to read more historical romance between like early 1800s to like World War II, usually in Europe, usually with the upper classes, because I like imagining that I am a princess and that this is a fairy tale, and like Western romances, like the capital W, Western, Old West, frontier romances, they are just so not glamorous. I like the glamour and the glitz of a historical romance. And so I have never delved into Old West romances before. And I think that what Old West stories lose in glamour, they make up for in adventure, because it's all these people like just trying to survive out of sheer tenacity and embarking onto brand new things that they have never experienced before. So if you like if you like a good adventure along with your romance, then I think that Old West stories would be definitely something to explore. And thank goodness, I gave Forbidden 4 stars. And so this really does make me want to explore more Old West romances in the future. This one, the premise sounds dark, okay? But I promise this one is actually like very sweet, very wholesome. Like just like absolutely adorable romance that really just wants to tell like a cute, happy story. And so even though there are more difficult elements, that really isn't the focus. The focus is 2 genuinely good people who fall in love despite difficult circumstances. And it's focusing on that rather than on the difficult circumstances themselves. So the premise, there is Ryan, the man. He is a light-skinned black man who was born into slavery in the South on a plantation, since his mother was enslaved and his father was the slave master. He is very pale and completely white passing. So in the mix-up of the Civil War, he decides to switch over and start living as a white man. And so now it is right after the Civil War, and he is living in an old West town. I guess for him it's not old. He's living on the frontier, in a frontier town in Nevada. And then there is, oh no, what is her name? Edie. There is Edie. Edie is a Black woman who was born free. Her parents died in like a tragic incident. She has a troubled sister who has 2 children. She has decided that she wants to start over in her life, and she wants to go to California and start a business once she saves up enough money. And so she's like making her way across the West, and she gets robbed and like abandoned in the desert by a nefarious man. And Ryan comes and rescues her and like brings her to his town and nurses her back to health secretly, because nobody can know that a white man is helping this Black woman. And then she goes to live in like the boarding house that is run by Black women, so like everything is all above board, it's fine. And so there's this tension of like as soon as they met, they had like this instant chemistry and were really drawn to each other. They can't be together because of their races. But we know that like they could potentially be together because Ryan is like technically Black, because race is a completely made up construct and isn't real. It is something that was completely fabricated in order to exert control over other people. And so even if someone looks white, it is possible that they are not, due to the completely made up system that the system of white supremacy has constructed. Anyway, it doesn't really go into that. Again, it is all about it just being about 2 good people falling in love. So it's a romance novel. So they do get together. You just have to see how that happens. So even though there's all of this tension around race and racism, there are instances of racism. There is violence, but more just like Old West violence of like, oh no, somebody got a gun and like these people are mad. Like there's no like traumatic racialized violence. It's just all about this community in Nevada where there's like a substantial part of the town that is Black and like thriving and like supporting each other, that Edie gets to be a part of, and then all about like Edie and Ryan falling in love. It handles Ryan living as a white man with a lot of nuance, because there are people who are like, oh my gosh, you're betraying your race. Like, why would you do this? Why would you abandon that? Da, da, da. But like, it points out a lot about like, as a white man, he is using like his life as a white man to uplift the Black community. So he owns tons of businesses and land and homes that he will be like a very like benevolent landlord over towards Black patrons. And he like is constantly giving back to the Black community, which he wouldn't have been able to do if he was not white. Well, if he was not living as a white person, if he was not perceived as white. It shows like the pros and cons in that situation. I loved the historical accuracy. Every once in a while, there's like a little bit of like historical context preaching of like, well, this town was formed at this time after this historical event, which maybe might annoy you, but I love history. I'm a huge history nerd, and so I liked this. I liked hearing about like the fun little historical events and being like, whoa, that's so interesting. You can really tell that Beverly Jenkins did her research and that she was excited about her research and wanted you to also know the cool stuff that was happening during this time. Emphasis on the history and this historical romance. It was just so much fun. There was like a whole cast of characters in this town in Nevada that were just so lovely. like it was just so nice. Like I really think that Beverly Jenkins, like her books need to be mined for like the next the next Bridgerton, okay? Like some other streaming service needs to like pick up Beverly Jenkins material in order to compete with Netflix. Like I'm so serious about this. Like there's just all of these characters that are just so fun to get to know and are so sympathetic, and I would genuinely just like read a whole book, like the whole next book where like they're all read together and just seeing how all the townspeople are doing. They're just lovely. I just had a great time. I will say, again, kind of talking about like romance novels are so subjective. There were parts of the romance that weren't like exactly my taste. So for example, I love a lot of like yearning and pining, where it's like characters are like kind of agonizing over the fact that they aren't together or can't be together, or like something like don't know whether or not they should be together. And even though like the whole premise is that they can't be together because of their race, but they're kind of just flirting the whole time in secret, and it didn't feel there wasn't much tension there for me. So I didn't like kind of have that like build up of like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? Like they have to get together. Like they just like their feelings are so strong. Like it was already there. And then there's like a power dynamic that I don't love, where like Ryan is more worldly and experienced, and Edie like doesn't know all of these things. And I don't know, like I don't love that. Like I get that it's like historical, but like as a modern woman, I love seeing like a really like equally matched couple where they're really just kind of approaching things, especially like physical aspects of the relationship, and kind of like the same page. Sometimes Edie could seem a little childlike, and I didn't love that. But you know, to each their own. What it happens. But overall, I think if you like historical romance in general, you should give it a try. If you've never read an Old West romance before, I think now is the time. I had no idea. I don't think I even realized that this like was a specific genre. I don't think I did. And now I know. And now my interest has been piqued. Thank you, Beverly Jenkins. And then, saving best for last, we have 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. Not only did I give this 5 stars, you will be seeing this on my end of the year video about my favorite books of the year. I have put it on my list in my little notes app. This was so good. I don't even know where to start. Not only is there a lot of yearning and pining, which is what I love. The characters are like coming at things like very equal. They're definitely on the same page, like maturity and like power dynamics wise. I love that dynamic to a relationship. And then the writing style was very fun and genuinely made me laugh out loud sometimes. Great cast of characters. It just made me feel so many things. Oh, I haven't even told you what it's about. I just started telling you why I like it so much. I should tell you what it's about. 7 Days in June is about 2 authors, which is very fun. The main character is an author of like erotic vampire novels. At an author panel, like an event, she runs into a man that she was romantically involved with 15 years ago when she was in high school. And he is the kind of guy who like every time he publishes something, it becomes like an instant modern classic. And he's like really into like deep emotional literary kinds of books. Like that's what he writes. They haven't seen each other that entire 15 years until they see each other at this event. We know that something bad happened to like tear them apart, that the main character like resents. Like there's this electric pull between them. I really felt that tension was very palpable, where she's like, I don't want like a repeat of what happened in our past, but still I feel this magnetism between us that is drawing us together. It is uncontrollable. Oh, it's so delicious. It's so good. But then also I just feel like 7 Days in June encapsulates like what is good about the romance genre. Like it demonstrates the way that love can like make us better people, make us strive to have more in our lives, the way that it brings us together, like the fact that romance is essentially all about human connection, that love is also like a driving force towards community, that like when you love someone, you want them to like be in your life and to incorporate them in all these different ways. It just made me love so much, you guys. It was so good. And it was so happy. It has a fake out. Is that a spoiler? I promise you it has a happy ending. I like almost got mad for a second, but I promise you it does. It was so good. Oh my gosh. They were so cute. They were so sweet. Also, the main character has like a 12-year-old daughter, and like there's a lot of focus on like their mother-daughter relationship, and that is also so cute. It is so cute and so sweet. I thought it was so well done. Oh, and the main character and wow, there's so many things I like so much. And the main character deals with like really severe chronic pain and has like pretty much her whole life. I thought the way that was handled was really great. It really helped me understand that experience so well, and it also contributed towards just like her depth as a character. I just thought that was lovely. One complaint that I saw in reviews a lot was that the book uses a lot of modern slang and pop culture references, and that was annoying. I feel like that sort of thing usually does annoy me, but in this case it did not. I thought it was well done. I thought that it like made me feel like, oh my gosh, this could actually be happening right now in the real world. They could be out there. Like this really did happen to people who know, who like all of these pop culture things. And I just thought it was a good time. But there's an author interview at the end where she actually does say that like she put all those references and stuff in there on purpose because she thinks it's fun. And I say all the power to her. So I am now ready to read everything Tia Williams has ever written. I just loved her writing. It like really drew me in. It really made me feel like I was like right there in this group of people. And I just thought the entire book was like so joyful and satisfying. I could see myself like rereading this throughout my life. I just thought it was so lovely. Really highly recommend this pretty much universally. I think it's very rare when I read a book that I'm like, this is absolute trash and like you should not read it. I would like most books, I would say, even if I didn't like it, I can imagine some people who would, that like maybe I'd recommend this to. So Honey Girl would recommend it to people who think that premise sounds interesting, who like don't think that like my complaints sound like something that would bother them. Forbidden, I would recommend to people who like historical romance. If you don't like historical romance, I don't know what to tell you. I think that's just something that you have to deal with yourself and just come to terms with, and as like a massive shortcoming in your life. And then 7 Days in June, I would recommend to anyone, even people who don't like romance, because it's also just an amazing story. Like the emotions are so intense and so genuine. It's like there's so much drama that happens that's very exciting, and it's funny, and it's also sad. I just think that 7 Days in June is a fantastic book that I recommend to everyone. I think it's excellent. So that's what I read for Black History Month. So exciting to have discovered some of these authors. I will definitely be continuing to read from Beverly Jenkins and Tia Williams. Morgan Rogers, Hunger Girl was her debut novel. So we'll see. We'll see what she comes out with in the future and if I think it sounds intriguing. Please let me know how you celebrated Black History Month this year in the comments. I love you so much. I love love. I love romance. It's so great. Bye-bye.